Okay, there's a couple people in here. Probably not going to get... so now the chat should work. Can you guys say anything? Yes, of course that counts. I know we're going to get less people on here, but I feel like it's going to be better. Just because, like... You guys, can you see my screen? Like, is everything not blurry? Like, you could see my screen, you could see me. Like, everything's not blurry, right? If someone could comment that everything looks good. This is my first time streaming, not on my phone. Because I think it just won't be as blurry. So, that'll be better, because it won't be as blurry. Okay, quality's much better. Okay. Alright, we have a couple people in here, so I guess we'll get started. Maybe there's a way to, like, live stream on Periscope, like my screen, but I kind of doubt it. So, yeah. So, alright, everything looks good. So we're going to just start off by looking at some model runs. Everything kind of looks very similar. Here's the NAM. The high-resolution NAM versus the GFS. You know, both models look very similar for a similar time frame. But what I'm more interested in is the sounding. So I think Albany. I could see your guys' messages. Schools have a good. I hate commenting on school closures because that's up to your superintendent. So I hate commenting on school closures. I'm sorry. But hey, at least we have 4 viewers. For a large portion of the area south and east of, like, the Adirondacks, we're going to be starting off as rain. Pretty much everyone's going to be starting off as rain. Central Pennsylvania, rain. Most, if not all, of southern New England is going to be starting as rain. As we move forward in time, like, I think Albany is a good example. I'm in Albany right now. I think Albany is a good example of what is to come with this. So Albany starts off in the warm sector of this storm, pretty warm, well above freezing. We move forward in time, and things, you see the column begin to get colder now. Now part of the column's below freezing. Now we're really below, most of the column's below freezing, and now you're getting into some freezing rain. As if you guys haven't seen XQT, everything to the right of this dashed line that's diagonal is above freezing, everything to the left is below freezing. So your snowflake is starting up here, falling as snow. It hits this little warm nose and melts into a raindrop, and then it comes back down and the surface is below freezing, and that's how you get freezing rain. It'll freeze on contact. So yeah, there's that. There's that, and then as we continue moving forward in time, the column gets even colder and colder, and now it looks like now it might be more sleet. Before that raindrop hits the ground, it's going to freeze, and that's how you get sleet. And as you continue moving forward in time, you have your warm nose still, and then eventually that warm nose is going to get kicked out eventually, but still sleeting in Albany, still sleeting. Until eventually that warm nose gets kicked out. Finally, that warm nose is starting to go, and now we're all snow. And the surface is 22 degrees. So it's going to look very similar, kind of no matter where you are, that's how the storm is going to evolve. Like if we take a look at the GFS, even for like the Hudson Valley, let's take a look at like the Hudson Valley, or the southern Hudson Valley. Starting off well above freezing, for the whole column, we move to now the surface is below freezing. Now it's really below freezing, and that's how you get your freezing rain and sleet threat. How difficult is the forecast for places like Pittsburgh? We could go through my forecast. Pittsburgh, I think, is just going to get an inch or so, personally. I think maybe just an inch or so. In Pittsburgh, I think more of a sleet threat and maybe some freezing rain. But yeah, this is my ongoing forecast. A big swath of 8 to 12 inches of snow for most of upstate New York, most of Vermont, most of New Hampshire, and central Maine. And then we get into the high uncertainty zone in the southern portion of those New England states, northern Massachusetts, central New York, Albany, and northwestern Pennsylvania through central Ohio is a very difficult place to forecast for this system. Because a slight tick colder or warmer could mean drastically different changes for snowfall. Watertown, New York, probably right about a foot in Watertown, I would bet. Wow, if you're from Watertown, that's awesome. Awesome from Watertown watching the stream. But yeah, for this whole stripe within this yellow region is an area of high uncertainty where it could really kind of go either way. A little bit warmer and you're getting a lot less snow, a little bit colder and you're getting a good amount more snow. The thing that I'm worried about here is that most models do tend to underdo. Let's go to thermodynamics. Most models tend to underdo so this is your 850 millibar warm layer. So everything south of this green is freezing. Is above freezing. Excuse me. Everything up here is below freezing, and you could see why this is going to be a really big freezing rain and/or sleet threat, because the column is just so warm for so long for so many people until it finally starts to scour out, and then everyone goes then below freezing. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're looking at. These 850 millibar temperatures are above freezing, and then they scour out, go to below freezing, and that's why you have those raindrops that melt, and then they turn to excuse me, I am tired. You have those snowflakes that melt to raindrops, and then that in turn could refreeze at the surface into sleet or freezing rain. Like the GFS is shown. I mean, for the lower Hudson Valley, we just took a look at that, but we could take a quick look again. That is a freezing rain threat if I've ever seen one for the central and lower Hudson Valley. And that reflects pretty highly in my icing forecast. That is where I think our maximum icing is going to be, right through the central Hudson Valley, northwest Connecticut, southwest Massachusetts, right through the northeastern Catskills in New York. I think the highest icing threat's south of Albany, and then we get a nice little strip of heavier icing into Pennsylvania. I think northern New Jersey sees at least a tenth of an inch of ice. I think the tenth of an inch of ice is going to be just north of New York and maybe just west of Hartford, but I think a pretty widespread area in the mid to lower Hudson Valley is going to see at least a tenth of an inch of ice, with a bullseye of 2/10 of an inch or perhaps higher in some spots. So do you guys have any questions that I can answer quickly before moving on? Because if not, we can move on to like the precipitation type forecast. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about specifically with this storm so far. But yeah. All right, let's move on. So precipitation type, heaviest snow going to be right through Cleveland, Buffalo, Watertown, Burlington, and Bangor, right through that strip of northern New England and the northern Mid-Atlantic, the extreme northern Mid-Atlantic. For northwestern Pennsylvania through Albany and the southern portion of the northern New England states, we're all going to start off as rain, go to some ice, freezing rain, and then likely to sleet, and then likely to snow, which is what makes this forecast so difficult, is when does each of those transitions occur? When does the transition from rain to ice occur? When does the transition from ice to sleet occur? And most importantly, for snowfall totals, how fast do you get the transition from sleet to snow to occur? That is what's most important. For anywhere in this pink or south, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find any snow at all. Maybe in northern areas you'll see a little bit of snow, but for most of this pink on south, I think it's going to be very difficult to see any snowfall out of that. But in this darker pink area, I think that's where the heaviest icing threat is likely to be. Going to start off as rain, then likely go over to a prolonged period of freezing rain and or ice, and then go over to some sleet on the back end. For coastal, I know most of my followers are from these I-95 cities. for coastal regions, Washington, D.C., Philly, New York, I think there's going to be a period of icing. I don't know how prolonged it's going to be, but generally I think under a tenth of an inch of ice is likely for those areas. And anywhere farther south than that, it will likely just be a plain rain. Maybe, an hour or so of freezing rain, but shouldn't be anything too crazy. So yeah, that's pretty much the ongoing forecast. We could go back to, as I was saying about the icing, I think a lot of these I-95 cities, this really light pink area is where we're going to likely see under a tenth of an inch of ice. This slightly darker pink area, a tenth of an inch to 2/10 of an inch, and then this bullseye area, 2/10 of an inch to 3/10 of an inch, or possibly even higher ice accretion amounts in those regions. And then taking one more look at the snowfall forecast, area of highest uncertainty. The gradient is going to be very, very tight. We could take a look. We could take a look. Let's take a look at the 0Z NAM. I haven't looked at the 0Z NAM yet, actually. I hope I'm not missing your question. Yeah, no, I guess no one's asking questions. But yeah, let's take. Oh, the 0Z NAM hasn't really finished yet. Let's see. It does look a little flatter. It's hard to tell. It does look a bit flatter and colder, but I guess we'll wait for the run to finish. This is an interesting storm. My graphics are made through Photoshop. Thank you for the compliment. But yeah, my graphics are made through Photoshop. I don't have Photoshop open because that would likely murder my streaming capability, but Hicksville. That's Ryan and Nick. Yeah, no snow in Hicksville. Maybe some ice. Dry slot in between the lows, so I'll get back to that question really quick. So this is an interesting setup in regards to this. If we zoom out really quickly, I don't think it'll necessarily be a dry slot. I think it's more likely to just be a lull in precipitation as opposed to it stopping snowing. But if you're looking, you said you were from Watertown, so if you're looking in Watertown, New York, you're getting this initial burst of snow. I think it's going to be generally lighter before you have the developing low pressure bring some heavier snow to northern New York. With the second wave, what we're looking at is more of a some more lower level frontogenesis lift in the air as compared to, you see this first event, you're not really getting a whole lot of lifting. You're not really getting a whole lot of lifting. I mean, maybe a little bit right in the beginning. This is the first wave right here. But then as the second wave starts to pull through, you're really getting some more lifting in those regions. So it's not. I wouldn't necessarily say it'd be a dry slot, but I definitely think there'll be a lull in precipitation between this first wave that's coming through tonight into tomorrow, and then this second wave that's coming tomorrow night. I think there'll definitely be a little bit of a lull. So I think that's generally as much as we're going to go through if no one else has any more questions. It is difficult to move the live stream over to YouTube as opposed to Twitter, because Twitter I get a lot more views. There's a lot more people in the live when I'm on Twitter. So I'll have to see. I mean, is it worth it? Chance of no school delays for Lower Westchester County? I doubt it, but I don't like commenting on school closures at all. But yeah, for Lower Westchester County, I mean it's possible. I mean, you're looking Lower Westchester County. A lot of the I'll get to your question in a second, Ryan. Lower Westchester County, you're gonna change over tomorrow night, or tomorrow morning, early in the morning, so it's possible. Yeah, this also is a much lower population being affected, and now that I'm in Albany, I could actually cover it. But yesterday I got 60 people in my live stream on Twitter, and there was still less people being affected, but maybe it's died down because the chance for I-95 being affected is lower. But for the Albany area, I have Albany right on the fringe of 3 to 5 and 5 to 8. So I think I think 4, 5, 6 inches is good for is the right amount for Albany personally. If you change over to all snow faster, Albany could probably get up to like 8, but I don't. I think anything past 8 is really would be a miracle. But I'd say 4 to 6 for Albany, right on that border of 5 to 8 and 3 to 5. I think that's a good approximation for Albany. And yeah, a lot less. I mean, the axis of heaviest snow is through Buffalo, Watertown, Burlington. I showed you guys my follower map before. Like 95% of my followers live. 95% of my followers live. Wow, why is that so big? Hold on. 95% of my followers live literally in this line right here. Like 95% of them live in that box. No, absolutely not. So, yeah, I've been very busy with class, but I wanted to get a live stream out there because I know you guys really like the live streams. But how'd you guys even, Nick and Ryan, how'd you even find the stream? And you're 2 of the viewers. I got the last snowstorm back on Long Island, I got like 200 viewers, but now it's only 8. 6, I guess, if you're not counting YouTube. Oh, does Ryan have post notifications? Ryan definitely has post notifications on. I'm Hicksville only forecast 0 inches of snow and like 0.01 inches of sleet of freezing rain. 0.01. But yeah, I think I might just end it there. There's just not much to talk about with there's just not much to talk about right now. Not a lot of people getting affected. There's not a lot of hype. But since I live in Albany, I figured I'd post about it. I want a 10-day. Yeah, no problem. No problem, Steve. But I might just stream on Twitter. I don't know. What do you, with the couple people that are in here, what do you guys want? I could just stream on Twitter from now on because I think I do better views-wise, but like the quality on here is so much better. Like you could actually see my screen and you could like see the models like pretty clearly. At least from my point of view, I think you could see them pretty clearly. And my PC is not struggling. So I think I'd rather do this, but we're probably not going to get as many viewers doing this. But alright, I think I'm going to end it there. And I mean, we could look at the 0Z NAND that's coming in right now. That might take a little while though. Yeah, well, I think I'll just end it there. And if you guys have any questions, you could always DM me or you could always respond to my tweets. I'm sorry if I sound a little tired because I am. But I will talk to you guys later.